Out of the tree of life, I just picked me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Doris with a D, and here we are in Fort Lauderdale. We are at Tropical Acres, and we're here with Jack and Joe Studiale, the owners here, with Chef at the Chef's Table. Chef Dan. You guys,
Hello.
Thank you so much
Well,
for welcoming
thank you for having
us.
us, yes.
And you can
It's
see,
our pleasure.
I'm not perfect. I make mistakes.
Yeah, well, we all do.
Yeah, this is all about telling everybody who you are and where you come from and all that other good stuff. We're so glad you're in the neighborhood.
Well, thank you. We're glad that we have this opportunity to show your listeners, your readers, your viewers who we are.
Yep. They make it harder for us to get a reservation, but
No, that's all right. Reservations, we always, I don't know if I should say that, we always fit the regulars in.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All regulars.
yeah.
Well,
Because
unlike
we've been coming forever.
many restaurants, your space is not limited. You got a large space. You have excellent lounge. I mean, your lounge is the size of some restaurants.
Yeah, it is.
Uh-huh.
And the lounge, we have the happy hour in there, and they get a big crowd Monday through Friday. They have a special menu, reduced price on drinks and appetizers. And Joe initiated that many years ago, but it's taken off to where
Yeah.
people can't get in there usually, or they got to come early to get placed.
You get the regular, which is great because every Wednesday these people are going to be on their seats, but at the same time you get someone that's never been here before and they can't, they're looking in there and it's like, I'm sorry, but yeah.
That's all good. That the action, the energy, the atmosphere, that all builds interest. And when people see things moving,
Right.
full seats, action in the bar, a little, traffic in and out of the lobby, that says success all over it.
Yeah.
So, and then that's some of the things that we use to our advantage.
It's what we said earlier off tape when we were talking about changing things, and this is a system that's always worked.
Yeah.
And like when we do our reviews, I always look for places that have, I call it the total experience. And we've had parties here, we've had large groups here, and we meet in the lounge,
Yeah.
have appetizers, have a couple drinks, and then we go into dinner.
Yeah.
Total thing. Then we go into dessert.
Yeah.
And
Make an evening out of it.
make an evening out of it,
Exactly.
right? Because I dislike places that are like one and done.
Yeah.
You go in, you eat, and before you even ask for dessert, they're throwing a check at you.
Yeah, you get a lot of different kinds of diners, and you can pretty much tell pretty soon what kind of diner they are. A deuce comes in, say it'll be about a 20. Great, we're going to go in the lounge, we'll have a drink. Now that kind of diner, not that they're going to have a drink, but they're out for the evening.
Right.
They're going out, they're going to have a drink, they're going to enjoy each other's company. They might meet somebody in the bar
Socialize.
that they don't know, and there's a lot in common. And then they're going to have a good dinner, and then spend the night. I mean, they could be here 2.5 hours for a deuce.
Oh, yeah.
They might go back in the bar afterwards, but whatever. And then there's the other ones that want to blow in, blow out as fast as they can. They're seated for 35, 40 minutes and they're on their way out. Maybe they have somewhere to go. Maybe that's just their habit. They
Go out just to eat and that's it.
Yeah,
And that's it.
they're there for a purpose and not for entertainment. Where going out now is an event.
I like the enjoyment of it all.
You still have the piano player.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember
Tuesday
that
through
was
Saturday.
the highlight of my night.
Yeah.
You see the piano player.
We still have the piano
it's-
player.
And when we bring people, they sit here and they say, "Oh, is that music?" I'm like, "No, it's a real piano." They can't believe it. They're like,
Yeah.
"Real piano?" Yeah.
Yeah, and that's Tuesday through Saturday, 6 o'clock to closing, and he plays and he gets a lot of requests, and there's always someone there. Joe's he's the standard pianist, but if he's unable to, he always fills in with one of his substitutes, and usually we enjoy the substitutes.
Yep. Quite a bit.
Not that they're any better than Joe, but we listen to Joe every night, and
good to get
it's
a little-
nice to get a little different repertoire. So they all add to the.
What's interesting, Joe said about meeting people at the bar.
Yeah.
Two or three times we've met people at the bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. I mean,
And we're
it's
still
conducive.
friends.
It's conducive to,
Yeah.
like you said,
Yeah.
a complete night.
My wife and I were at Anthony's 2-3 weeks ago, and we sat at the bar for dinner, and we were talking to
That's a
another
great
couple,
bar.
isn't it?
Yes, it is.
In fact, we were there Monday afternoon, Labor Day. Was it Labor Day? Memorial Day. But we ate in the diner. But we were at the bar, and we met this nice couple, and they had never heard of us. They live in Pompano.
Right.
And of course, we're talking, and we had, guess we had dinner together because they were 2 and we were 2, and we started before them. So, but of course, what happens Saturday night? They show up, which was nice.
That's cool.
They showed up, and they sat in the bar and had dinner, and I didn't know until they were probably halfway through. But Terry said to me, "That couple looks like the couple that
You guys were talking to.
we were talking to at Anthony's
That's cool.
Clam House."
Yeah.
And it was nice to see him. Of course, then I went over and
Did you get to meet Walter?
the owner.
The owner, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Real nice guy.
Him and his boy, his
Yep.
son.
Real nice guy.
They do a nice job.
Very nice.
They've worked hard. I saw that from the beginning, and they're doing everything right there.
Well, like Joe, have you been there?
Yes.
So
Mhm.
you know, same
Yeah,
thing.
I met the
bar,
son. Yeah, absolutely.
The same thing. The bar, the complete experience.
Yes.
You know, so many places they just lose tradition. I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
The formula that works.
it does, and there's unfortunately the casualty rate in the restaurant industry
High.
is high.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's people don't give it are getting into it without the experience. They think it's easy to run. There's a lot of reasons. Maybe they don't have the backing. Maybe it's a personnel issue. Maybe they think more of their own ability than they actually have. Maybe they're not as
Hands-on.
hands-on as you need to be, or they get complacent.
Yeah.
There's so many things. Now, everything I just mentioned, that's critical. You can't take a day off. If I'm off, Joe or Jackson are here. If they're not, I am.
Right.
But somebody has to be here, and I don't mean sitting in the office.
Hands-on.
I mean on the floor, touching every table.
Yes.
How are you? What can I get for you?
And you will hear that from customers. If they don't see one of us, it's their.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of our. If you've seen some of our reviews, that's my number one golden rule, is the hands-on. We talked about Cafe Max.
Yeah.
We were there on a busy Saturday, I think it was, or a Friday with my father, packed.
Saturday.
Sure.
And I saw Daryl come from the podium because he was the maitre d', and I see him go to a table that was empty, and I saw him just moving stuff around, and then he put like another fork there, whatever, and I realized he was checking that table because he was seating somebody there.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there saying, if you had a Johnny-come-lately manager that you pay whatever, they're not going to do that.
No.
And that's the hands-on.
The setting could be incomplete, could be soil, this could be something.
Right.
That just
Yeah,
wasn't
they
right.
checked it. And to me, it blew my mind because that's the owner.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And that's
The owner has to do it.
If
anybody's
he's-
gonna
yeah.
do
But
it.
that's the thing. That's the success because, like you said about people not having the experience. A lot of the places fail. Like we go and I'll see it and I'm like, it's not going to work. I could tell because they're not involved, or they'll say, where's the owner? We like to speak to the owner. Oh, he's in Bahamas now. When's he going to be back? One person was like, a month later he'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
3
like,
months
who's
later,
running? And I hate to say it, who's running your business?
Today.
And when people say to me, and I've been in this since I was 14 years old, and I hate when people say, oh, the restaurant business, they go out of business so quick, 50%, whatever. And I sit there and I say, look at Tropical Acres. Look at
well, that's
Stick
nice.
Inn. Look at all the places
Chef
that
Dan,
are
that's
around.
nice of you to think of us when
But
that
if it's
comes
true,
up.
if
It is true. You know how long we've been here?
Yeah.
1949.
76
So
years.
this is our 76th year. And I don't think there's a day goes by when we don't appreciate each one of those years. And say it can happen.
You survived 2 fires.
2 fires, everybody survived. Well, the pandemic, that put a lot of people out on fire. But, there's a lot of, the things we mentioned, keys to success.
Right.
But the other thing, really, and it shouldn't be overlooked, but the personnel,
Yes.
the people you have in immediate contact with your clientele, it is so critical. They have to be, there's and I'm telling you, and I've always said it, you can indirectly direct them or control them, but you can't control them.
Right.
People are personalities. Sometimes they have days that aren't as good as others. Sometimes they might have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, or be a little surly attitude, and or a little complacent. And
Human.
we need to, yeah, they are human,
like that.
but we need to see that. We need to see the panic on their face when they're almost in the weeds, and stop it before, because many of them are too proud to say, hey, don't see me.
Right.
So it's not what we're saying, but you're looking to see who's close to, just getting weeded out.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, and there's certain ones you could tell.
Yeah.
Danielle, remember her? You could tell 10 minutes before she was going to lose it, and we would shut her down. We'd go we'd give her some help.
Take it
We
easy.
would kind of run interference, make sure she doesn't get to that point.
See, that's family. I love that.
It's family.
Good longevity
Yes.
too. I mean,
Yeah.
when we were talking the other day, you had a gentleman 38 years here.
Yeah.
That's
I misspoke. I said, what are you here, 35? He said, no, 38. Don't you remember? I said, no, I don't.
But that's
38
a testament
years.
of you guys. That's a
Fits.
testament of how
Fits.
you run the
That's
place.
fits, yeah.
Because if you didn't run the place good, you wouldn't have that.
Yeah.
And again, the redundancy, when we see places that have been around a long time, they always have somebody 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah.
And that just shows.
Yeah.
And to me, it says, that's why you're still in business. You're doing things right. You know?
Well,
I mean, we see places in Fort Lauderdale, they open up, they're there just about a year, season comes, and we see a new Maserati out front or a new Porsche out front. Wow. And I'm like, do you know it's going to get really slow for about 3 or 4 months? And then all of a sudden, you'll see something closed for renovation, and then,
yeah.
and it's like they didn't know. I mean, we spoke to a gentleman in Lauderdale by the Sea, and he said he banks all his income, the money, for the year, and then when season's over, that's when he gets his pay.
Yeah.
Whatever's left from that
Yeah.
after season, that's his pay.
Well, whatever you do, you better pace yourself. You need to do
You
it.
got to
so
be
that
aware.
You can take the lean months with the with the months that are thriving. Now,
You watch your
years
payroll, you watch
ago-
your food costs.
Yep.
Years ago, the summer months in South Florida were lean.
Yeah.
The population has grown to the point where there's very little difference between June, July, and February
And March.
Right. It is different. It's busier, but not 40% like it was
Right.
20 years ago.
Right.
I mean, you've had a dramatic people say the season. You had a dramatic season, and then you had the off season. But that
July,
doesn't
August,
happen
September
now.
was-
We're a metropolis. I mean, you've got all the municipalities around us. People come from everywhere,
Yeah.
and
You're an institution, Jack.
yeah, and that has a
Everybody
lot
knows
to.
you. Not
that has a
everybody's
lot to do
story
with
is
it.
your story. Let me tell you.
No,
you guys are
it
so
could be.
awesome.
It could be. There's a lot of fine restaurants out there, and they just have to stay with it.
Yeah.
That's
A
the
lot
thing.
of people get tired, or they have nobody to turn it over to. Now, I've got Joe and Jackson that are, they're obtaining ownership, and they're, as long as you keep doing your job,
I'll keep at it.
I'll bounce you like a hot
How
potato.
did Bob go? I mean, during COVID, you came up with the butcher shop.
Yeah.
That was ingenious.
Yeah.
When I saw that online, I was like, that is
Yeah,
so
it was.
smart.
It was. We closed on March 16th. It was just before the county closed.
Right.
The mandated restaurants to close, and we had announced on Friday that we were going to close March on the 16th. It was March, I think, and
We
Monday.
did to go for a little bit, and it wasn't.
Yeah, and
Wasn't panning out.
We were through social media, Facebook and Instagram and such. We said we'll be doing takeout, so we did takeout. I wanted to keep the staff busy, so we kept them busy, and we were doing some takeout. But on March 7th, on Tuesday, I looked at my cooler, and we had $35,000 or $40,000 worth of meat. This was March.
Yeah.
And we had a large inventory, and we could have frozen it, but we don't freeze meat. We just don't. Once you freeze it, you slack it out, the cells
Your
purge,
quality, yep.
and you lose a little moisture, so we don't freeze it. So I said, how are we going to get rid of $30,000 worth of inventory. And the, social media.
Yeah.
We put it on, and the next morning, I opened up the next morning because we were closed, so we had a light crew. We didn't have to, I called Marie, my sister, I called you. I said, the phone's ringing, I can't answer them all. And everybody came in, and I was taking orders and we only put like 3, 4, 5 items on there.
Yes, I think it was like some steaks or something.
Yeah.
We were cutting it to order because we just, we weren't.
The rest of the month, then we geared up. And then we called in a lot of our staff. We were paying them. We determined to pay them regardless, because we were closed and it wasn't through any fault of theirs. So we could take the hit. So I said, okay, now I got you scheduled, and we scheduled them. Everybody that wanted to work was scheduled. Some of the shifts were only 4 hours or 5 hours, so that we can give everybody shifts. And it became a monster in March, April, and May. And we did as much business in the daylight hours
between 10 and
as
5
we normally would do in the dining room.
Wow.
Yeah, we matched. Our accountant couldn't believe it. She said, you did what you did last March, and you were closed half of the month.
and
then
half
April,
the payroll.
We did it with half the payroll and daylight hours.
Wow.
So it was good. But yeah, and then we ended up keeping it, as you well know.
I saw it when we were pulling up the sign. That's what
Yeah. So it's good. People count on it.
They're quality steaks. So
They are quality.
So if you want to try to cook it at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, we're known for our steaks. Our seafood is awesome. We have a lobster special that we run all summer, May through October.
Very
It's the
popular.
2-pound Maine lobster. It's 2
Two 1
1-pound Maine
Right,
lobsters with a side and a salad for $39. And I like to boast that it's the same price as last year, which
It is.
which is great.
As far as
Orlando, Deltona.
they ask about it.
Yeah.
They're coming down. They have the lobster special now. Yes.
A month or two before we started, the phones don't stop ringing. Has the lobster special started? Has the lobster special started?
Yeah, do you have it yet?
Mhm.
No, not yet. Do you have it yet? In fact, we started it early this year.
Usually start right after Mother's Day. We started
We
2 weeks.
started it after Easter this year. Well, Easter was what, the 31st of March?
Yeah, and because also stone crab season ended 2 weeks
Stone
early.
crabs ended, so the lobster. So that's a real draw, and that puts a lot of people in the seats. But other than that, the steaks are the prime.
Go-to.
When we bring people out there, we
Yeah.
what they get, everything's.
And the filet mignon is the most popular one.
Yeah.
But my personal
Prime rib.
favorite is prime rib.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
A lot of places don't have prime rib, or when they have it, they don't have it all night.
Right. It's a
But
one and
we'll cook 4 or 5 prime ribs, and then or depending on the night of the week, and it is delicious.
Yeah.
It's juicy. It's flavorful. It comes out the way it's ordered.
Put it up against
you've
the
got
best
a couple
ones,
of end
yeah.
cuts, and then you got the chuck end or the loin end. You get a lot of requests for different ends.
Specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people like the chuck end because of the decal.
Right.
The spinalis muscle on the top, people go crazy. The people who know it
Yeah.
Love it.
love that spinalis.
Extra.
It's got, but there's the give and the take. It's got a lot of flavor. It's really tender. That one seam on the top of the prime rib on the chuck end, but it's fattier.
Yeah.
But that's why it's so flavorful and so tender.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the the marbling of the strips.
I never thought of ordering like that, but now you say because I do love
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I say I want the chuck end, but I want a large ribbon. They don't know what to call it. It's the decal is what it's called,
Okay.
or the spinalis muscle, and it's popular. But the real steak connoisseur knows what it is. But I prefer prime rib when I go out, but I don't go out and have it.
Right.
I have it here when I come in for dinner, and I should come in more often, but when I'm here, it's kind of
Hear enough sometimes.
It's too busy to sit down and have dinner.
Right.
You know, you're busy, you're doing things, or you can't sit still. There's too many interruptions.
Right.
So we eat with the staff at 4 o'clock. The staff eats at 4 o'clock. Everybody that's here gets a dinner.
That's great.
And
So
we
nobody's
get
hungry.
we get people that you know, aren't even scheduled till 5. Mark.
Yeah.
Some of the bus boys.
They don't get food at
Billy.
home, so we're, hey, listen,
You know,
we have it.
I'll go to work early. They can't clock in, but they come in to get the meal, and then they sit and relax, and then they clock in at their assigned time.
Nice.
But some
That's
people,
a good thing too, because they also give recommendations. 'Cause I remember one time we came with Lou, we were sitting in the back of the big round table, and he asked something, and the waitress said, "Oh yeah, I had that," and blah
just
blah
had
blah.
that, yeah.
That's awesome, because a lot of places you go to, when you ask the waitress or waiter, how was that? Well, I heard it's whatever.
Yeah.
Or some people like it. It's like, do you know what it tastes like?
We tried,
Right out.
you know,
She
that's,
said, "You're not going to believe this, but I just happened to try that last night."
Yeah.
We
So
give
she's
them a-
going on and on and on.
yeah, we give them an employee discount. We want them to come in with their families or friends
well, if they
to
come
try
in-
it
if they come in on their own.
on their own.
Yeah.
It's, you know, we want them to come and try. We want them to, hey, enjoy yourself, enjoy being served,
Right.
as opposed to serving, as opposed to
Serving,
yeah,
yeah.
cooking.
Yeah.
So
But
That's a beautiful thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
Love it. You don't have any other locations, do you?
No, this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
One location. There used to be others.
some history.
yeah.
It's a little bit of history.
History? My mother's cousin from New York had a restaurant in Yonkers, New York.
Okay.
He came here on vacation. He liked the area. He saw this property in 1949. He purchased the property, and it was a residence. But he took a couple of months and he remodeled it into a restaurant. Small, albeit very small.
Right.
Maybe he added maybe 2,000 square feet. So he had like a 3,000 square foot restaurant.
Okay.
And he named it Tropical Acres because the area was known as Tropical Acres. And for consistency, in 49, then he went back to New York and renamed the restaurant he had in Yonkers on Central Avenue. He called that, he changed the name
Tropical.
to Tropical Acres. So now there's 2.
Right.
And then in 56, he's here again, and he had an operator. He had Mr. Manfredi, Pete Manfredi,
Yeah.
who I remember. He was operating it for my cousin, my mother's cousin, Gene. And then he opened another one in Pompano in 56, and then Boynton Beach in 59. So he had the 3 in Florida and the 1 up in New York. So he had 4 of them, and they were all operated by close relations or close people to him. And that lasted for many, many years. And then, you know, evolution, things fall by the wayside. Sometimes in Boynton Beach, Frank was running it and he didn't have anybody to fill in. He's getting old. What do? You either sell it or so he sold it. And then same thing happened in the Pompano store. They sold it. Same thing in New York. My uncle Gene was getting older. He ended up selling it. So now we're the only ones here. We're here and we're going strong.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but the roller coaster right now is still going up.
Yeah.
You know?
As you know, I've been coming here since the late 70s.
Have you? Yeah.
And I sent you I'll put it on the screen. I had a postcard from 1980, I think it was.
Yeah.
From my mother saying that somebody, a manager here, was asking about me
Yeah.
because they used to bring
Oh,
me
you
here.
showed me that postcard.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it on the thing. I should have brought it. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
But I used to go in the lounge here, and they put me in a corner with a coloring book.
Yeah.
I'd sit in the lounge with a coloring book.
So you were just 8, 9, 10.
Little kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Little kid. But I remembered it, and as an adult, when I came back to Florida,
And that's part of the interesting thing about being here, and some of the pluses about being here is exactly that. We get families that have come through full
Generations.
Yeah, generations. Like I came here a Saturday night, a young girl. She's like 30-ish or something. That's young to me. She comes in. She's got a little kid with her. She says, "I was just driving by. I don't even live here anymore. And I came by because my grandparents used to bring me here as a child. And now she moved away. She says, I'm so glad you're still here. And that was like 20 years ago, 25 years ago when she had come in. But she took the time to pull in, stop, and run in. And she didn't look like she was going to have dinner, but she just wanted to look around. But we get so many stories like that where the children of they came in with their grandparents, came in with their parents, and we still have it now. The families come in, and we assume their kids are gonna.
And we're really
reciprocate.
really blessed with the regulars we have. I mean, we'll go if we don't see this regular for a week or two. I mean, we have some people every Tuesday, Mr. Martin, every single week. Same table, same things.
Remember the Wednesday night group?
Yeah, it's
4 couples.
They would go to the bar first. They would see
Dave,
Bruce, and Sharon,
Jeffers.
and yep,
And
John,
sure. Yeah.
and it's a blessing to see them every single week. So
These
then
were 4
you don't see them.
4 couples, and they met in the bar, and then for 15 years, now they all meet. They all became friends, and now they all would meet every Wednesday. Night. Prior to that, they didn't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Now I never do this, but I'm looking at the cameras, but I never do this. But I want to say, you see restaurant owners that are watching this, this is the formula to success.
Yeah.
This is the formula. It's not, a lot of them think you open the door, money's coming in, and that's it. It doesn't work like that. This is a hard business, and you have to be dedicated.
Yeah.
People don't realize I'll get it. What time? Why is there someone there at 9 o'clock? I thought you guys opened at 4:30.
Yeah.
You just can't come in and turn the key and flip the lights on.
But this is what success is.
Yeah.
You know these people by name, and they've been coming 15 years. That shows. Someone doesn't go somewhere for 15 years just because.
That's right.
They feel part of the family. They feel an attachment. I tell Doris every time we come here, I feel like I'm home.
Yeah.
I remember coming here down, I guess Griffin Road, where the sign is.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a little kid, I remember it was a dark road with these trees. And then all of a sudden, we got to the restaurant, and I was like, yes, we're here.
Yeah, they call it
it
Old
was.
Griffin Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Griffin Road was
Broward Road before that.
Broward Road way back. In fact, one of these menus has Broward Road on it.
Okay.
And the Griffin family, very pronounced, a great family from Davie. There was some tragedy. They ended up naming the road after the Griffin family. But it was just a 2-lane, bumpy road, no sidewalks, no fire hydrants, no lights. There was nothing here. There was no I-95.
No.
It was 441 or Federal Highway.
Right.
And that was it. In fact, the Sun Sentinel, which of course, it was the biggest paper in the area, and they did a little review. They always had a section where they named all the restaurants. It was free. It was just listing all their out in the boonies, referring to us out
Out in the boonies, yeah.
in the boonies. We were
Middle
not
of nowhere.
near any residential, any downtown. We were just out there, and it wasn't a great accolade to us out in the boonies.
Yeah.
But I actually called and asked them if they could change it, but that fell on deaf
It's a
ears.
destination to get to.
Yeah.
No, but I'm glad you mentioned it, because I always tell people that I remember this being 2 lanes, dark as hell.
Yeah.
And they look at me, like, when they see this, they look at me, really? I'm like, yeah, it was.
Did you tell them how old you are now?
Yeah.
And how many years ago that was?
Well,
Dan?
well,
Yeah.
well, I don't tell them that.
Yeah.
But
I'm more likely to do that.
Yeah.
It's so people how old I am. But no.
But it's a great business, and I'm glad Joe and Jackson have decided to make it their
Yeah.
livelihood.
They've grown up in it.
Oh, yes.
They know.
Yeah.
They know what you could sell those services. You could teach someone how to be successful.
Yeah.
How they, take it and run with it is their.
You got to have the heart for it too. Just being present is not. It's more than
Be
that.
generous.
Yeah.
I mean, I always tell people, especially restaurant owners, when we talk about managers, they hire someone off the street or whatever, and I sit there, I'm like, you didn't bring them through the system? Like I'm used to seeing a manager come through, either they were from the floor or from the kitchen. And
What's a requirement here?
Yeah.
Every position.
Every position.
From dishwasher to busser to
Exactly.
you are.
Bartender,
No.
busser, saute, broiler, grill. If you don't have that, you're not gonna.
How can you tell
You can't tell someone to if you can't do it.
If you don't know how to do it.
And you have a busboy go into the bathrooms because it needs to be tidied up. You can go in there with them.
Yeah.
That's how you get respect, is from doing
Right.
or helping out, or getting your hands dirty.
When I was a chef working live, a lot of my staff told her, they thought I was crazy. I would come in, I'd sweep and mop the whole kitchen.
Yeah.
While they were working, I'd just sit around, sweep and mop the whole kitchen. One day I'll just pick up and just start cleaning walls. And they're like, we never had a manager that did that.
No.
But now those people still call me today, 10, 15 years later, and ask me, advice and stuff like that.
Everything, yeah.
And it's just, it's hard to find that. But when I see they hire managers some places, like right off the street, and I'm like, is that person going to care about your business as much as you?
No, they won't. Not a chance.
And you know it, because when you see it, you go in there and it's kind of like, where's the manager?
Yeah.
Oh, he's sitting at the bar drinking.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not what you need.
Yeah.
So.
I don't often walk out of a place. Monday was a free day, it was Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to see a movie. After the movie, it's like 6:30. We stopped at a place on the way south on Federal Highway. We were still a little further north. And a place we hadn't been to. And we said, let's go in there. And we stopped in.
Right.
And we were shown to a table. And we sat there at the table. Now I could see 4 servers leaning against the wall. And we wait, and we wait, and we waited. Now, I don't know, it was at 9 minutes, I said, actually, my wife said, that's too much. I said, I know it's too much, but give them another minute.
Yeah.
Maybe, she said, not doing anything. I see them, they see me.
And
why doesn't one of the 4
Just come over and say hi.
say hi, or find the person who table it belongs to? No, they didn't. So we got up, walked past the hostess who seated us, and said, we're not going to be staying.
Right.
And she didn't ask why. I would have volunteered, but it was a nice evening, so we went somewhere else.
Wow.
But that's it's unfortunate those things happen, but that's management.
Yeah.
That's not the server's fault.
No, they weren't.
The server is not trained. They don't care. There's not a desire to make that person's experience enjoyable. It's they're gonna take your order, put it in, deliver it. That's the bare minimum, but that's not even close to their responsibility or their job description. It's a lot more than that. Now, you don't want to, the customer doesn't want them to be a guest at the table.
Right.
We don't have to have a conversation, but you can make my experience
Show you
a little
actually
bit,
care.
a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's I don't want to get sued, so I say it's the fast food mentality, but not fast food, the other in between chain.
Yeah.
And what I say is, and we talk about it with waiters all the time, is there's a way a waiter can make a killing, money-wise, tip-wise, and it's by doing the job right. A lot of times you go to these chains, they have a hostess, they come and they walk you to a table, sometimes they don't even look at you, and they throw the menus on the table, your waiter will be with you in a minute. Then the waiter comes, and right away, what do you want to drink?
Yeah.
Good evening. How are you?
How are you?
There's a lot. And
here's a drink menu. Let me get you some water to start.
Yeah.
If you have a drink menu, you want them to buy them drinks.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you just say, and watch, when they do that to you, what do you say?
Oh, just give me some water.
Water. She says, give me club soda.
Yeah.
You just blew $20 off your check on that. They come over with the special orders. Now, not everything's special.
So,
table of 4.
Yeah, like the board behind
someone's
us.
gonna
We
want
want
something.
them to
So,
sell
like,
it.
say you say, I want extra garlic in the whatever. As a waiter, when I come back around, instead of the obligatory, how's everything? And they run away.
Did you get enough?
Did you get enough garlic? Was that good? How was everybody? Was that cooked medium well?
Yeah.
Just check, show, like you just said. Show that you're genuine. That how's
And even
everything.
So
here,
much, so
I mean, we have servers that can do that, and then we have some that need work.
Yeah.
But that's because, we've got 30 servers and they're not all A's.
Right.
Some are A minuses, some are B's. I mean, and it's, being in business is not always fun.
Right.
It's not always pleasant, but we either train them or we move on.
Yeah.
They move on somewhere else.
Right.
Every Saturday,
Our meetings.
we have a staff meeting every Saturday, and you have to be there. And we're going to either talk about issues or enhancing the customer's experience or new items, and we want them to be educated. And then you test them. They get tested.
Yeah. Well, your desserts. I was gonna hit the desserts. Rarely do I order dessert. Rarely.
Yeah, he's not into it.
I've never left here without having dessert.
Yeah.
You know why? They bring that card
Or around.
Yeah.
and they describe everything in that card. You
Yeah.
can't resist it.
That
Again, in a lot of
visual.
places, they come with that little black book,
Yeah.
with the check in it, and
Just drop it off.
holding it in their hand. And would you like anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah, can I see a dessert menu or
Yeah.
whatever that is you have in your hand?
Yeah, what kind of coffee
and you
do you
almost
serve?
feel like
Can I have an after dinner drink?
you feel like
Hello?
get out. And a lot of times
Yeah.
they tell you, we won't go back. I
Yeah.
won't. It's just
Yeah.
being, rushed out. Here,
I don't know if
we
it's
had
a
my
South
birthday
Florida
here.
thing, but
Well, yeah.
yeah.
No,
I-
we
I
We don't
haven't
ever
had an
want
after
anybody
dinner
to
drink
feel
in
like
years.
No, they're rushed or.
But I'm telling you, on Saturday night, if I need
Sometimes we're pushed for a table.
I need table 52. You got to drop that check.
No, we had my birthday here last year, and we had, 15, 20 people. And we were here so late, somebody was in the background of one of the pictures out front. But we closed the place. We were out front, and we weren't rushed out. We weren't
Yeah.
thrown out, and you came right behind the
Yeah.
we're taking pictures. I'm sitting there
Yeah.
going like, that's cool.
Yeah.
You're not being thrown out. You're not
No.
being pushed. That's
And we have people who traveled to
Yeah.
be here with us that night.
Yeah.
It's special.
Good.
we get people, like I said, from Orlando that come make it a
Right.
point to come here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's good. We have a good following. We have the locals, which is a real credit to us. The locals, the people that come out frequently, and they bring friends. And then we have the people that are here infrequently, but year after year, they're going on a cruise.
Cruise,
We were
they'll
here
come
last
in, yep.
year,
Yeah.
And we
They
thought,
make it-
you still have the little loyalty card? Yeah, sure. They got one. They only got 4 punches on it, but
I got two.
it'll take them
I got
5
two
years.
full ones.
There you
It'll
go.
take 'em- if they only come twice a year, it'll take them
Take 'em,
2
yeah.
years to fill it up.
I have 2 full ones in my wallet,
Yeah.
and the secret is
Hope
I
you
won't
lose
forget
them.
them at home.
Good.
Or if I do, if
Hey,
I don't
hope
forget
you
them in a
lose
year,
them.
I forget to take them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a nice thing. The loyalty program works well.
Yep.
And those are little in-house specials that we do. And it's simple. It's not cumbersome. You just got to get your card punched.
And I got a
Old school.
I love it.
Same thing. How we take our reservations, pad and pen.
Yes.
I mean, because we're up there, and
But
it's
see, those
such.
things work. I don't want to get into a preaching thing, but I always say with COVID, they kind of try to erase the old systems and replace it with like computerized and automate it and this and that. And I say, like what we do, it worked. It didn't stop working,
Yeah.
and like these things work.
Yeah.
By the phone, the pad and pencil, that works.
Yeah.
Why would you pay somebody to do and handle it?
Well, it gives us an opportunity to say hello,
Yes.
tell them who we are.
Yes.
You have a question, they might have a birthday, they might want a particular server, they might want a particular table or a certain area. If we're accommodating, we're not even worth being here.
We're all about the service. That's
Yeah.
not a thing that's going on everywhere.
No.
And if they wake up to it, they would probably be doing so much better because more people will come.
Yeah.
They know they're going to be serviced properly.
Yeah.
I know that sounds
No,
icky to
it's-
say, and I
it's
don't know how to
simple.
say it in any other way, but
It's simple.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's simple, but a lot of people won't do it.
Yeah.
But I have a question, and I know Doris has all her questions.
But I have one more,
But
just one more, but.
Well, let me hit my curveball.
Anyway, no.
It's a
do the
curveball. It's not
curveball.
red.
Do the curveball.
I always ask, especially the chef or the people in the kitchen, what's your go-to, like snack food, or like when I was a chef, I always had to have peanut butter and jelly on the line.
Okay.
For me, we've had chefs that say hot dogs, pizza. Is there something that you grab? I think you said prime rib.
Well, yeah, but that's
There's something you
that's
can
an item that the staff isn't
doesn't have to have the menu.
doesn't have a luxury with. You know, there's certain foods they can eat, certain foods they can't. I mean, it's a planned menu for the staff.
But what would you grab?
Well, I'd eat the prime rib, but I'm the owner. I don't know too many people that can do that. But most of the time, every time I sit down with the staff, I eat what they're eating.
Right.
Whether it's a lasagna,
Right.
or he had stir-fried chicken the other day. You know, whatever they're eating, we all eat. Right? But you all eat the same thing. Yeah. I don't know, a go-to thing.
If it's a quick snack, if I would say our cream spinach.
Okay, cream spinach. Yeah, because when you're busy, you can't stop.
You
So
cannot.
that's what I said. I had the pantry guy make me like 3 peanut butter and jellies, and I'd have them in the low point.
Yeah.
Just boom, because you can't stop.
That's not a bad idea, peanut butter and jelly.
There you
I
go.
love peanut butter and jelly.
But and then somebody else had the pizza. One guy said he had pizza, and you keep it on the line, just grab the pizza.
I have an energy bar.
Yep.
That's a protein bar.
It's just because
A lot of times we don't get time to eat.
Well, no, and the fact is, you see this, like you see the steak all day, every day. I always go back to, I worked in a banquet hall, we had surf and turf. So for years, I hated filet mignon and lobster tails because I ate that I used to make sandwiches out of it.
Wow.
You know, because every night.
You had some privileges.
You know, but then it's like, you don't want it anymore. And people are like, you don't want, I'm like, no. Done with
Just
it.
it, yeah.
They get their fingers cut off if they had lobster and
Oh yeah.
steak.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
no, the secret was, and you have banquets here, we used to cut the lobster tail from the bottom, and there was like an inch left in the tail.
In the tail.
So I plucked that inch out all night and put it in a cup of butter.
Yeah.
He works for it.
And then
you did.
And I'd have a fork and just.
Yeah.
But that's but then I didn't like lobster anymore.
Sure.
It was just like
Overdone.
overdone.
Doris, you had something?
What's your most popular dish?
Probably the fillets.
Yeah. The fillets are most popular.
I think so. I think the filet mignons are,
Is the name?
I mean, we have 3 different sizes. We have the petite, the 6 ounce, the 8 ounce, and the 10 ounce. They all come from the tenderloin.
Right.
The petite is kind of the ends. There might be a crease in it. It's not a full barrel cut where it tapers off.
Right.
And then the 8 and the 10, the 10 is the center cut. And that's the big barrel cut, 3.5, 4 inches high, nice round. And we use nothing but certified Angus beef, for short CAB, but a lot of people don't know what's CAB. CAB, Certified Angus Beef. It's a program that we've been a part of for many, many years. We're confident using it because there's never any question about what we get quality-wise. Today, not today, but forever. I mean, you could buy things and you're not sure what you're getting. Well, this is a program that is a not-for-profit, but it regulates. It has a relationship with the inspections,
Right.
and it makes sure everything actually follows the description. There's 11 characteristics that the steer has to meet to qualify it as certified Angus beef. The size, the color, the uniformity, the marbling,
size of its hump.
the size of the hump. There's the characteristics are. It
very
is a lot, and
precise.
Just because of that, I mean, and we used to use some certified Angus beef and some not, but we've gotten to use all certified Angus beef. This is never a question.
You get
Never a
across
question.
the board.
Quality is a quality.
So the fillets, and we use the 3 different sizes. So fillets, to answer your question, is the most popular dish that we serve.
Yeah, a lot of guests are combining that with their lobster tails.
Yeah, because
And
it's
the
so
surf and
if I get
turf.
a lobster tail, if I get that 8 ounce one rather than the smaller one, it's gonna be more tender.
No, it's just going to be 2 ounces more.
Oh.
The fillet, they're pretty much all the same. I mean, the barrel cut, the center is going to be a little more tender than the end that's tapered off. But it's got to be used.
Right.
So you use the 6s, and then you can go to 8 or 10. And it depends on your appetite. 8 ounce fillet, and how many tails do you get on a surf and turf?
Two 4 ounce tails.
4 ounce tails. That's a meal.
Yeah.
If you're having a salad
And a side.
potato,
We had the big. What's the big one for two? The steak for two.
Or New York for two.
the
The
double.
lobster tails.
Ooh,
Yes.
Oh man,
that's her family style. Yeah, that's a
that's
a heck of a meal.
That's a good appetite.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
The double, we call it the New York strip for two, and
Like the New York strip for two.
Yeah.
it's 24 ounce.
22 to 24.
And the waitress suggested
Yes.
the tails. She said, "Come
Yeah.
on, use that." We said, "Yeah, give it to us."
Yeah, a couple of tails will be another $30, and then
Now you know about what we have selling with
But
those.
There you go.
Now, you have one of my favorite dishes of all time here. Is I love the marsala with the shrimp.
Shrimp and turf marsala.
I love that.
That's a fantastic
and,
item.
and the funny story is, when I was a chef, one day I was bored, and I made shrimp marsala, and somebody said, "Oh, you're crazy! You know what is that? No one's ever heard of that." Blah blah blah. And then I saw it on the menu here. I got it, and every time we come with a group, I always someone's got to get that.
It's something so different, but me and Jackson, we love it. And if I know if
That's how
you
it
tried
ended
that
up.
one time, you will
It's delicious.
you will love it.
Delicious.
Yes.
Yeah.
that's how it ended up. Our chef, you remember Peter
Peter Colombo.
Palumbo? Peter, we had an excess of tails of the filet tenderloin ends.
Right.
So he said, "Well, let me run a special." So he said, "What can I don't know how he got the shrimp and turf marsala." So we used the filet tails, sliced them, sauteed them with shrimps, the scampi shrimp,
Right.
with a brown sauce, marsala, mushrooms,
Tomato.
seasoning, some tomatoes, and put it over linguine. And man, we ran it as a special. It was a hit. A month later, we ran it as a special again. It wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
And so we ended up,
Put it on the menu.
It ended up on the menu, and it's still a great item. Unusual, as you mentioned,
Unusual, but delicious.
Yeah,
but very
you
good.
try it. It's
I mean, you have
Fantastic.
the turf, you have the surf,
Yeah.
you have the marsala, the mushroom. It's
Flavors.
delicious. And you got pasta. What could be wrong with that dish?
No, it's got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, everything that you want. Yes. I love it.
Now, is there a dish that, I guess you're in the kitchen more, so is there a dish that you think that doesn't sell enough of, or if somebody had it, they'd order this more? Like, you know, 'cause a lot of restaurants have, say, the lasagna or whatever, and you're like, wow, people had this, but nobody ever orders it. You know, so is there something you think, or you wish that they would order?
a lot of our items. I mean, our menu is pretty. I want to say right on because all those items they're all very popular. But I would say the shrimp and turf. I mean, we sell a lot of it, but it's some people don't know about it,
Right.
and it's because they
Those items
shy
that
away.
They don't sell. I mean, if we can't fix them to sell or adjust them, we'll take
Remove
them
them.
off.
Yeah, we don't want
We
anything
run
that's.
a menu mix, and if there's items, what didn't go was that it was a raviola sausage, a vegan sausage.
Yeah, the Beyond sausage.
Yeah, we couldn't sell that.
No.
I mean, but it is a certain clientele.
Right.
The frog legs, as good as the frog legs were, I was only selling 10 or 12 a month. That's not worth having it on the menu.
No.
Yeah.
And fried scallops. Fried scallops are delicious. But you can get to a point, you can keep, our menu used to have 48 items on it. And it became, on a slow night, it's not a problem. On a busy night, it encumbers the kitchen with
yeah.
too many items.
The amount of prep.
I don't know how Lester's, and I don't know how these diners do it.
It's healthy.
They got 200 items on the menu.
Yeah.
But there has to be a semblance of order.
Yeah.
And you can't just keep, I don't want to say dumping or delegate. It's done. If you do it carelessly, if you delegate carelessly, it's dumping.
Yeah.
You can't dump things where they have too much going on, too many ingredients. And I'm trying to think of 5 or 6 other items that we took off. Is the Gorgonzola toast back on?
Yep.
Yeah. I took it
By
off.
by demand.
Yeah, I took it off because I don't know why. It's a low food cost, but we had so many comments from the customers. Fried mushrooms came
Fried
out.
mushrooms.
And the customers just roared. So we put it back on. And it's
Bruschetta
not a
toast.
problem.
I love how you pay attention to
The
details.
bruschetta. Oh,
That
we took our.
bread just runs right through
Yeah.
out.
Trying to get rid of just certain items to simplify it. Our Italian seafood pasta,
Yeah.
the Italian seafood special.
That's a great
We
item.
removed it, and we got such feedback from guests. Why did you remove that? I love that. I love that.
There you go.
We put it back on.
We have a Spanish restaurant in Fort Lauderdale. Spanish restaurant. He sells lasagna.
Really?
Because he had
Not Joey was not Cafe Seville.
He made the lasagna.
No.
He put it as a special, and people loved it. So he put it on the menu. He said, "Let me just see what it does." So when he took it off, he said, I think 3 times he tried to take it off.
Yeah.
He can't.
Well, that's good.
But it's a Spanish restaurant.
That's all right.
Find a little niche.
Lasagna, absolutely amazing lasagna.
Oh yeah.
It's made in the tradition.
Yeah.
And
That's
when
good.
people have it, they realize that they're like, wait a minute, I can get this.
That's not
great
Cafe
lasagna
Seville,
here,
is
even though
it?
it's a Spanish
No,
restaurant.
no, it's not Joe. No.
Okay.
No.
No, I haven't seen that on his menu.
Yeah.
No.
He runs a good show, but he's there every day.
He's there every day, and he takes phone reservations.
He does.
By phone.
There's a lot of similarities, and you know, and again, we don't want to be bashing corporate.
No.
But that's corporate. You know what? They're only there for one reason. They're not there to give that customer walking through the door an experience.
No.
They want that customer to come back so they can make more money. So there's a difference between the independents that knock themselves out, take everything personally, as opposed to the corporate that is just concerned with the bottom line. And you see them close all the time.
It's not even a full bottom line. We've had this in one of our earlier interviews, and I said, when I was coming up, I was afraid that corporate would wipe out mom and pops. And as I came through the system and been in the business now over 40 years almost, I said, you know, I see the difference. And not that you want to lose money, but you can lose money a week. You could lose money at 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But if you were corporate, you'd both be fired. And you said about the places closing. Some places close because they don't make corporate thinks they don't make enough money. They say, wait, you're profitable and you're being closed? Yeah, we don't make enough money. And I was with a company that I remember they expected 2% growth every year, and they had the book with the weeks in it. So this week we need 2% more than from last year. I'm like, okay, but this is up in New Jersey. There's a snowstorm out there.
Yeah.
Corporate doesn't care.
No.
You know what they say? Figure it out.
Yeah.
Or next week you better make it up.
It's crazy business.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's good being an independent. You know, we can't buy. We don't have advantages that they have because of their size.
Right.
We don't have advantages purchasing insurance or securing insurance.
Right.
They do. You know, but they've got a lot of people in the ivory tower getting rich.
Yeah.
Nobody here is getting rich.
No, but
we don't have new cars or Maseratis.
No, but you want, you guys want customers to come.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Where, like you just said,
In fact, I think I need a new car. My car is like 14 years old.
Jeep?
My Jeep.
It might be time.
No, but like I said, it
almost
kills me when I see
100,000.
that. Like, you know, again, they didn't make enough money. They closed. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I mean, places are busy. You see it busy, and it's like they're out of business. And like,
Yeah.
so.
I just have one more question.
Sure.
How did you find your way into the hospitality industry? Like that day when you woke up and you said to yourself, I'm doing this.
Yeah. I tell
I
you.
know that's digging deep.
No, it's not. So, I'm at school.
Okay.
I've got another major. I'm not in the hotel restaurant program. I've got another major. And Professor, it's architecture. Professor Applebaum, Christy. Oh, she's going inside. Professor Applebaum, we have a conference class and there's like 100 students in it. And he's telling us, we're all architecture majors. He starts telling us, well, there's 10% of you are going to be draftsmen. 20% of you are going to drop out. 10% of you are going to make, maybe make a little bit of money. About 5% of you are going to make the money that you think you should make. And I said, holy crap, I'm not in that 5%. I changed my major. And that was junior year in college. And I changed my major. And my father, now I worked here as a, high school. And I I was busting tables. My brother and I were cutting grass. We worked in the kitchen washing pots, and he'd grab us, and we would leave the house before we knew when he was going to bring us to work. And my brother and I would leave the house. We didn't have anywhere to go, but we weren't there when he was leaving for work on Saturday, so he could grab us and bring us here, because we didn't want to be here. I mean, it's Saturday, 3 o'clock. We could be doing something else. So anyway, so we worked here throughout our adolescence, and then through high school, and then we went away to school. And I wasn't so inclined to be in the restaurant business, but I started to see the light when you know, what I wanted to do might not be. I had this opportunity, and I tell you, fortunately, once I got here, I had no regrets at all. I had already done a lot of I was one of the cooks, and I did things. I did back of the house stuff, and when I got here, it was all enjoyable. I did not regret a moment I spent here. And then Joe came in, but you went to FIU?
Yeah, and
FAU? FIU.
Mm-hmm.
So he took the hospitality program. And I changed my major in my senior year to take up hospitality classes. So anyhow, we ended up changing in college.
You want to tell him? I went to college.
You got to tell your story because it's so similar.
I went to be an architect.
Oh.
I went to be an architect, and they took me to drawing class, drawing 101, and I didn't know how to draw. And the teacher made an example of me of what not to do.
Oh,
Daily.
man.
Yeah.
Daily.
This is at the college level?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Gosh, I had already had 10 or 5 or 6 drawing classes.
but I was already working in restaurants since I was like 14.
Yeah.
And my mother, like I said, she used to bring me here too. And her thing was she wanted me to be in the restaurant business, and she said so I would never be hungry.
Yeah.
You know. So
Yeah.
I was there, and I was in college to be an architect, and my friend wanted to go to the library for something, and I wasn't into the library, so I stood by the front, and a young lady comes over with a clipboard and says, "Can you sign this?" And I'm like, "What is it?" She goes, "Well, we're doing a college fair, and I need X amount of people before I can leave." I'm like, "Well, what's your college?" And she said, "Culinary Arts Institute. It's in Jersey City." And I'm like, "Well, tell me about it." So she told me about it. Made an appointment, went in, sat with the dean, made it into the thing, and I was
Wow.
in, yeah. And the rest was history. And
So we both have this as our fallback.
well, you know what was my
Yeah.
it was like you said, you would come here and cut the grass and do it. So when it came to me, I'm sitting there going like, what have I done all my life so far?
Yeah.
This.
Yeah.
You know, and in fact, my entire life, I've only had one job, not in the kitchen. I was a security guard.
Yeah.
And that was like 6 months.
Yeah.
That was it. And that was a shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy said, "You're on break now." I said, "Okay, what do I do?" He goes, "Well, you can go to the break room." I said, "Okay." I go to the break room. I said, "I'm hungry." He said, "They got a cafeteria." So I'm like, "Okay." I go to the cafeteria. The week that I worked, I spent more money in the cafeteria than I did in my place.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Yeah, I need to go back to the kitchen because this is not working out."
That
Yeah.
was right.
Yeah, so this isn't working out.
That's ironic. We both had that similar
Yeah, exactly.
experience.
You said architect. I'm sitting there going like,
Wow.
Yeah.
honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
So that's how we ended up here, and it's worked out. It's been good for us. It's been good for our families, and we hope and pray that it was good. It's as good for all the staff that have come through here
and all the
for
families that have been
years and
through here.
years.
All the
Yeah.
families have been through here.
And, yeah.
Oh, it's,
The energy here is amazing.
Yep.
Well,
And it's because of the love you put into it.
we like to think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's all about the love and it's all about the care and,
Yeah.
and the generosity.
Yeah.
and professionalism.
Wow.
Well, thanks. Don't make us look too good.
No, I think you did that for
And
yourself.
humility is important.
That's good.
Yeah.
But we know you are. And thank you. Like I said, thank you so much for
Well,
being here.
Anything you guys want to add?
Yeah, but then come see us.
Come, there you go. Come check out the butcher shop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
Perfect.
Find meat anywhere else anymore. Thank you
Any
very
more.
much. It is said.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
You really, you gave us
The
so
boss
much
spoke.
instruction.
The
And
boss
so much
spoke, that's
information
it.
that we didn't know.
Yeah,
And it's good to have information, you know, an informed customer,
good.
they keep coming back.
Yeah.
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 Well, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And so as always, enjoy, and we'll see you here. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.